It is May 10th. It is day 111 of the Trump presidency. Let's talk about what's happened in the last 48 hours, because there's a lot of international news. Last night, Trump tried to take credit for a ceasefire that had occurred between India and Pakistan, which honestly, I don't even care. I'm so glad that they were able to at least temporarily come to this decision. Maybe that means there's hope for that to happen again. However, it has unfortunately deteriorated and then escalated again within 24 hours. They are back at it. I am sorry to say that there is shelling again or explosions that are happening in Kashmir, followed by electrical blackouts that are currently happening in Srinagar. I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And Jammu. Again, doing my best here. Nearby cities to Kashmir. They're blaming each other. So India is saying that it's Pakistan's fault. Pakistan is saying it's India's fault, which has kind of been the vibe lately so far. So I don't know if Trump is planning to get involved with them again and have another discussion, but hurry it up, old buddy. Apparently he was on the phone with them. I believe... is China also supposed to talk to them? I believe they are. I believe China is also in talks with them. I mean, the whole world wants these conflicts to come to an end because, again, the world is in danger. Here's the upside of this. I do see these other countries like China, like the UK, even like Canada getting involved, and we'll talk about this in a minute. And they are trying to help. They're trying to pressure the situations to come to a ceasefire, and they're creating coalitions in order to do that. And again, we'll talk about this in a second. The point is, like I said before, I don't see any one country stepping into the position of bouncer that America has been playing for however many decades. But to be honest with you, this could be something much better, which is... I think the analogy that's coming to my mind is when a parent dies, you are quickly responsible for the things that that parent was doing for you. It can be really traumatic. It can be overwhelming. But regardless, you know you have to hurry up, get your shit together, and step into that role for yourself. And I see this kind of energy coming from these countries. I think the countries all realize, oh shit, the United States is dead. What the United States was, what they were doing for the world, whether it's giving aid to countries so that they can get their citizens vaccinated against deadly diseases, whether it's stepping into actually help with conflicts rather than just like try to bully people into giving us resources like minerals and stuff like with Ukraine. Regardless, we're not doing any of that anymore, right? We're very much out for ourselves. That Trump has made that very clear. He's still saying those same things, that he's out for himself. And sure, he'll get on the phone with you for 10 minutes and tell you to stop. But I don't, that's not really helpful, right? The United States before used to stick our necks all the way in, for better or for worse, often for worse, right? It wasn't always a good thing. So the death of America, the zombification of America, could actually, and is in some cases, leading to this kind of hero moment for the rest of the world. With the liberal elections in Australia, the liberal elections in Canada, the liberal elections in Germany, the liberal, I'm using that word liberally, but you know what I'm saying, the Pope. It is pushing the world in a direction towards peace. And that may be out of fear of the consequences because there's like daddy's not here anymore. Daddy's not signing the checks. Daddy's not coming to your rescue with his weapons. Daddy's dead. And I can say, God rest his soul. I loved my father so much, but I, as an individual, came to my true self when both of my parents had passed. I knew for a fact no one was going to save my ass ever again under any circumstances. And it pushed me to the point of having to have a airtight work ethic. And because of that, I have been able to purchase 2 houses completely by myself with no help whatsoever. And I am doing it all by myself. I don't get any child support. No one's helping me. My dad died penniless. I had to pay for parts of his funeral. My point is, this could be the world's story too. Daddy's dead. The world has to fucking grow up. And I don't think that's bad. And lately, in the last 48 hours, I've been like, maybe Trump is making the world great again. He might not be making America great again. He is turning America into 1930s Germany, and we'll talk about that too. But maybe, as a backlash to the horror that we are witnessing here, the world is actually stepping into a new era. And you know what? Good for them. Maybe someday I'll get out of here. Okay. So India and Pakistan, I hope that I have better news for you tomorrow or the next day. It's a very tenuous situation. The tensions are very high and it's very scary. And so when people, groups of people or individuals are scared, they tend to have those hairpin triggers. They're very easily pushed to explode. Bad choice of words, but you know what I'm saying. So I hope that they can get back to a place where they say, we're going to actually follow these rules, the ceasefire rules. Like, let's stop this. This is not going to lead to anything good. Okay, now on to what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. The Prime Minister of the UK, the German Chancellor, the Polish Prime Minister, they all went in person to meet with Zelensky to discuss a ceasefire with Russia. Remotely, a bunch of other countries joined, including Carney from Canada. Russia is having to be dragged into this, essentially. They don't want a ceasefire. However, all of these countries, along with Trump now, are planning a massive sanctions against Russia, financial sanctions, if they don't comply. And Russia is essentially almost being like backed into a corner, and they're saying, you will agree to an unconditional 30-day ceasefire, or else, like, we're going to do this. And again, so Trump is turning on some of his own allies, right? Trump doesn't have allies. This is something that the world will come to understand about Trump and men like Trump. Narcissists don't have friends. They don't have family. They don't have lovers. They don't have wives. They don't have children. They have assets. They have toys. They have pawns. If you cross a narcissist the day after your wedding, doesn't matter. They're going to do whatever they want to do. And 30 seconds later, if they change their mind, they change their mind. You could come into a room with a narcissist and they could be charming and sweet and funny, and then an hour goes by and they punch you in the face unprovoked. And that's not any kind of an exaggeration. So do not be surprised. I know that right now, Trump has turned on Putin. Trump has also turned on Netanyahu, and we'll talk about that in a minute. He feels manipulated by these men. He feels humiliated. Probably he's hearing some of the chatter on the streets about how he's being used as a pawn. And it got into his head. And now he is publicly done with them because he doesn't want to be subjugated, right? So we'll see what happens. Even if Putin has something on him, none of that matters. A narcissist, no matter what the truth about the situation is, he believes that he will win against Putin. He believes that he has the one-up on literally everyone on this planet. He believes he's smarter. He believes he has more power. He believes he's said this out loud. He basically said, I'm the king of the world. He said, I am the most powerful person on this planet right now. Which honestly probably isn't true anymore. Anyways, it used to be sort of true of the president of the United States of America, but this version of Zombified America, I don't think it's worth what it was. Regardless, this is a big deal in a good way, because these other countries, they're not relying on Trump to do this, but Trump is joining into the bandwagon. And Trump could be, if they do this right, he could be influenced, if they give him a lot of patting on the back for joining in with them, they're easy to peer pressure, narcissists. So honestly, this could go a very good direction for the world. Okay, now let's talk about what's happening with Trump and Netanyahu, because this is kind of like the tea, the dirt. This is a crazy story. So, obviously, we know that Trump and Netanyahu have a lot of financial plans for Palestine and Gaza, and that they've been, back-end allies in that way. However, do you remember the Signal app controversy? But then Mike Waltz was reportedly using this Israeli version of the Signal app. There's a lot more to that story. Apparently, he was essentially acting as an Israeli spy. And rather than, like a normal president would, come out and actually prosecute him for this or do something about this or try him for treason, Trump just put him over to the side, took away all his power, made him the UN ambassador, which, like, the United States doesn't even give a fuck about the UN anymore. And he cut ties with Netanyahu completely. He said he went behind Netanyahu's back. He stabbed him in the back. He made a deal directly with the Houthis and Saudi Arabia. And now Netanyahu is coming out and saying that they will finish this war by themselves if they don't have the support of their American allies. And Trump is saying America is about America, and we are going to stay out of this. We're not going to attack the Houthis anymore. We're done. But what that's really about is Trump Trump realizing that he's been a pawn to Netanyahu all along, that Netanyahu is spying on him, he's being shady, yeah, duh. Putin and Netanyahu are way fucking smarter than Trump, like light years smarter than Trump. However, Trump has that Forrest Gump quality of fate is really what it is, right? There is something that Trump is fated to do on this planet. Well, there's many things that Trump is fated to do on this planet. And it's sort of like watching a hairpin race, right? I don't think that these men entirely understand. Yes, he's very easy to manipulate, but if you think that he's loyal to you, you're dumb. He's not capable of that. He will change his mind about you in a split second. Again, even if you're his literal kid, he doesn't have loyalty. He doesn't have principle. He doesn't have the same internal consequences that other people have. He doesn't have any of that. So anyways, he is motivated by not being humiliated or embarrassed. He's motivated by power. He's motivated by money. That's it. And reputation. And flattery. Long story short, expect that these stories could change at the drop of a hat again tomorrow. Yes, this looks good. This looks good. Him walking away from that war in Palestine is huge. It's huge. It's very positive. It could change tomorrow. Same with him siding with Ukraine. Zelensky might have kissed his ass exactly the right way. I don't know everything that's happened. I mean, I know that Putin and Netanyahu are obviously both trying to manipulate him, but we don't really know what's been happening behind closed doors with him in Ukraine, or what's happening behind closed doors with him in Saudi Arabia. They may have paid him or made him, some kind of crazy deal. Like, who knows what's going on? But long story short, he will just as easily betray those people as he has betrayed Putin and Netanyahu. So we'll see. Time will tell, but this is good for the world. And for de-escalation of those wars, because Putin really can't stand completely alone, and which is why the war didn't escalate to such a degree before Biden left office, right? And same with Israel. So we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed that this is the direction that this is going and that it doesn't revert back. Okay, this is not so great, but the mayor of Newark was arrested by ICE and then detained just for attending a protest. His name is Ras Baraka. He has since been released. He's been making a lot of public statements about this. ICE is very much escalating, and the Department of Homeland Security has been threatening to arrest House Democrats who were there at that protest. Actually, this next story kind of ties into that. Stephen Miller made a statement that really honestly, like, rattled the world. He is claiming that Trump's team is considering suspending something called habeas corpus, which essentially would give them, it's meant to only be invoked in times of like a real literal invasion. It takes away your right to due process. They could just arrest anyone. You can't retaliate or even request any kind of like legal action or investigation. They can just take anyone off the street. And Stephen Miller is saying that they're going to do this if the judges don't do the right thing, meaning the judges must do exactly what Trump wants them to do. And obviously their long-term plan is to deport, honestly, possibly like every single person that doesn't have white skin. I'll be honest. And then some of the ones that do, like people like me, who are not on their side. So, you know, will they get all the way there? I doubt it. I don't know, though. You know, I think every day that goes by, more shit is happening. However, legally, they would still have to get the legal ability to do this. If they just go in and start doing this, even though they're doing it to a degree already, right? And they're getting knocked down over and over again. They just arrested, I mean, the ICE raids have been horrible in the last few days. There are horrible videos that are surfacing of the things that they're doing. People are being detained in front of their children. They took a man who had 2 children in his car. They just took him and they just left the kids in the car, in the fucking truck. The things that they're doing are heinous and disgusting, but there will be consequences. I don't know why I feel comfortable saying that. I just do. Because I know that a judge has already told them, like, they must release the 16-year-old girl they just detained. This is going to escalate into a much bigger fight now, because what's happening is ramping up as far as how illegal it is, the way that they're going about it. These people that are doing these ICE arrests are just like masked citizens. Honestly, they're probably like Jan 6ers. Super gross. These are really potent times in human history. And I mean, mark my words, I think we all feel it. We all see it. This is a shift. We are entering a new era. Historically. And where we go from here, it's hard to say. I think there's a lot of directions that this could go. Yeah, sorry, my head is spinning because there's a million different things going on. And I think I want to tentatively say, again, that I'm starting to see the good coming through. When something terrible happens, there is always like an equal and opposite reaction of good that comes almost like slamming back after it. And I'm seeing it. And I hope you're seeing it too. And yes, here in our country, in the United States, well, some of you may be watching from elsewhere, but in the United States, it's very uncomfortable. It's very scary. And the things that are happening are incredibly awful. And people are posting that Anne Frank quote where she's talking about how horrible things are happening outside. And I mean, we could have written the same thing right now. We're all seeing it. We're all watching it. People are being ripped away from their families in broad daylight, screaming, getting their heads slammed into the concrete. I mean, it's bad. It's bad out there. But I think it's scaring the fuck out of the world. And that's not necessarily bad. And again, I think that the concept of kindness, the concept of democracy, the concept of common human decency and empathy has been taken for granted for far too long. And we have allowed sociopaths to take the lead, to take the steering wheel, and to drive this fucking bus. And it's time to take it back. Simply put, it's time to take it back. And every little step in that direction helps, including having the Pope speaking out about it. It helps. It matters. Every single one of us that's adding our voice to this chorus of people saying enough is enough, it matters. Sorry for the impassioned sort of sermon tonight, but this is a big deal. The things that are happening right now, these shifts in power, these shifts in direction. I've been waiting for this, and, fingers crossed that we stay the course. All right. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.